All right, so this might sound a little bit crazy, but if you're trying to get better results from your sales, your website, or even your lead magnet, whatever funnel you've got going on, the best thing you can do right now is to stop what you're doing. Don't write your next ad. Don't tweak your next sales page headline. Don't send your next email, because there are 5 persuasion mistakes I keep seeing over and over again in various different businesses, and they're not just annoying to spot, they're actually quietly killing your conversion rates. And I want to break these down properly, not just to give you a list of tips. I want to explain the thinking behind each one so you can understand how influence really works, not how marketers think it works when they're chucking in some urgency and then calling it a day. Okay, so let's get started with the list. Mistake number 1, thinking more persuasion equals better persuasion. This is a sneaky one. People read about social proof, urgency, scarcity, loss aversion, whatever, and they think, right, I'll just throw it all in. I'll add a countdown timer to my webpage. I'll throw in a testimonial. I'll mention I've got 10 years worth of experience. I'll say my spots are limited. Boom, persuasive. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Persuasion isn't about stacking tactics. It's about identifying what's in the way of a person taking the next step and then choosing one single intervention that targets that exact issue. It's not surgery with a chainsaw, it's brain surgery. And if you go in with a chainsaw, you might hit the part of the brain you're aiming for, but you also might hit every other part, and the whole thing shuts down and your business starts to actually lose sales, or even get no sales, no action, just you being overwhelmed, thinking you've done the right thing and that nothing's working. If someone's hesitating because they don't trust you yet, hitting them with urgency actually won't help. It'll repel them. They'll just distrust you faster. But if they trust you and they're just dithering over the decision which they need to make, that's when you use urgency. And that's when you say, this closes Friday and you'll need to decide by then. Or that's when you say, the phone line's short on etc. date, and that'll be the last time that you can contact us about X particular issue. Persuasion is not just about noise, it's about actual surgical accuracy. And the reason people think persuasion doesn't work sometimes, or that their funnel's broken, or that nothing's converting, is because they're using it badly, essentially. The tactic's not broken. Actually, what's wrong is your targeting's broken. Okay, so that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2, drowning people in CTAs. I call this the CTA, the call to action soup. You go on a landing page or a website and you've got, a button to download the lead magnet, a button to book a call, a chatbot in the corner, a newsletter form, a pop-up for a discount code, and then right at the bottom, follow me on LinkedIn. It's just noise. And ironically, the more options you give people, the less action people actually take. And that's not just my opinion, that's basic choice architecture, which is a behavioral science term. Too many options essentially equals decision paralysis. And if you want someone to take a step, make one single step. That's it. What do you actually want them to do right now? And focus on making that bit persuasive. Do you want them to book a call? Do you want them to download something? Do you want them to buy? Pick one. Build your page around that. Use supporting copy that explains why that step matters, what they get and how they'll benefit, and guide their attention to it like you're a shepherd with just one sheep, not 30 sheep, because it's very hard to keep track of them all if you've got 30 sheep. If you're offering people 7 ways to say yes to you, to increase your conversions in some way, all you're really doing is giving them 7 ways to avoid choosing any of those decisions, essentially. So that's mistake number 2. Mistake number 3 is polishing the truth about your business until it's unbelievable. So let's talk about perfection. This is something that all of us get stuck in. And I see a lot of business owners get stuck in this, whether the 7-figure, 8-figure, even some 9-figure companies. They focus so much on perfection that their sales end up going down. Have you ever landed on a website, especially one from one of these public, modern day influencers, and it's got 4,912 reviews with the average score is 5 out of 5, and instantly you look at that and you go, no, because nobody's that perfect. And people, customers, clients, they click the wrong star by accident when they're trying to leave a review. People have a bad day. Sometimes your support team doesn't respond fast enough. It happens, right? Even to good businesses. And here's like the twist of this. When everything looks perfect, you might think people will trust you more. But what actually happens in human psychology is trust goes down, because now I'm visiting your website. Now I'm wondering, are these reviews actually real? Have they deleted the bad reviews? Is this whole thing just smoke and mirrors? Is this a scam? Perfection doesn't build trust. What actually builds trust is authenticity. So if you've got a few 4-star reviews, show them on your page. If you've got a few 3-star reviews, show them and respond to them as well. Get your team to respond to them positively and find some sort of way forward for those people in a public manner. Let people see how you as a business handle those problems, and that builds more belief and trust in you than 1,000 anonymous 5 stars basically ever will. Mistake number 4, talking too much about yourself. This one really winds me up. A few years ago I was researching for dentists, cosmetic dentists, for a cosmetic dentist procedure, right? And I landed on one website that had pages, in the About Me section. It had pages, I'm talking literal paragraphs and essays about the guy's background who's going to be, sorting out my cosmetic surgery. And the background was about where he studied, the name of his dog, the fact that he likes paddle boarding, and now he's been married for 12 years and his wife's called Veronica. Now listen, I'm sure he is a lovely guy, but when I'm coming to him with a specific thing that I want solved, I don't care about the paddle boarding. What I do care about is whether you're going to do a good job and how much it costs, and if you've done this 50 times or 5,000 times before on people exactly like me. And the problem is this: people overvalue their own stories, particularly business owners. They think their stories matter because it matters to them. But your customer isn't trying to join your fan club. They're trying to have a specific problem solved. And if all you're doing is talking about you, they'll click off and go and find someone who talks about them instead. So keep it simple. Think to yourself, what's the problem your service solves? How does it work? What should I trust? Why should I trust you to deliver it? And that's it, basically. Everything else is just noise. And that's mistake number 4 in persuasion. Mistake number 5, forcing people into a sale. This one's really, really important. So a lot of people, especially the pushier marketers, the aggressive salesmen, the type who will pick up the phone 1,000 times a day, desperate to just make the commission. They think they can use pressure to corner people into saying yes. And they think if they remove all other options, they handle every single objection and they paint the person into a corner, people are then more likely to buy. But what they don't realize is that this backfires actually pretty badly. There's a concept in behavioral science called psychological reactance, and it basically means the second someone feels like their freedoms have been taken away, even if it's only perceived freedom, they will push back, and they'll push back pretty hard. So think about kids who've been grounded. They've had the phone taken off them, they've been sent to the room, they're not allowed to play on their Xbox, and they're not allowed to listen to any music, right? They've got to sit there in silence. They're not learning a lesson, they're actually just plotting revenge, and they will eventually rebel against that, and that's why it's pretty ineffective. You've taken freedoms away, and what a person's going to do now is they're going to react psychologically because they essentially are reacting against their loss of freedom. And people, business owners, all the time do that same thing to their buyers. They kill the sale. They think they're being persuasive, but really they're just making people defensive and rebellious. And nobody buys when they feel defensive or rebellious. What works better every single time, and I have seen the data on them, is offering a real choice and making a recommendation with no pressure on it. So they can say something like, hey, this is my recommendation. Here's why, X, Y, and Z. You can do that, or you can choose to do something else. No pressure. And then handle the objections from there, whether that's in marketing, in a sales page, or over a sales call as well. When people, a client, a potential customer, feels like they're in control, they are more likely to say yes. And that's the irony, really. Freedom drives conversions, not force, which is so regularly talked about on social media. So to just recap on those 5 persuasion mistakes that I see so many different business owners making. Number 1, misusing persuasion tactics, like they're throwing darts in the dark. They try to add everything. They add everything when they're baking a cake rather than just, an ingredient at a time and actually following a single recipe. They just put in everything. Number 2, cluttering their page with this whole range of calls to action, confusing the person who's trying to actually give them their money. Number 3, chasing perfection and losing trust in the process. Having all those million 5-star reviews completely gleaming, it comes off as that the image is too perfect. Number 4, business owners sometimes make it about themselves and not about their customers and their problems. And number 5, pressuring people and triggering psychological reactants instead of actual action. So if you fix these and your marketing won't just convert better, it'll actually feel better as well. It'll feel more natural, more honest, and people will want to work with you even more because the word will get out. People will realize that you are trying to support ethical, business, and you can conduct yourself in a great manner as well. So if you want more stuff like this, more persuasion tips and techniques and different behavioral science things to help with the conversions in your business, subscribe to the channel. It's not going to be any spam or anything like that, just weekly breakdowns of how real persuasion, influence, and behavioral science works actually in businesses without the fluff. Okay, guys, have a great one. Take care.